Be me. 19, just started university, and honestly, life feels like a movie. I remember walking across campus in my first semester with a stack of books and some iced latte I picked up before class, and guys would literally rush to open doors for me, offer to carry my stuff, make excuses, just to talk. It was constant. I didn't even have to think about whether I looked good that day. Existing was enough. Yes, I think I'm pretty good looking. Every girl is a 10, and so I am too, but I'd say I'm above average for sure. Every party, every lecture hall, every library study group. I had options. Cute guy from sociology sitting behind me, whispering jokes to get my attention. The basketball players always smiling when I walked by. Even random quiet dudes from the computer lab would awkwardly find reasons to help me with my Wi-Fi, just to be around me, and I loved it. I won't even pretend otherwise. There's something addictive about knowing you can play the game however you want. If I wanted validation, I'd flirt with one of the guys at the dining hall line, smile at him, make some small comment about his tray, and by the end of the week, he'd be saving me a seat, just so I wouldn't have to eat alone. If I wanted a free coffee, I knew which guy in my econ class would happily grab it for me just because. He'd even ask how I liked it, memorize my order, and show up with it before the lecture like it was nothing. And if I was bored, I'd let someone take me out, fully aware I probably wouldn't text back after. Dinner, a movie, maybe a late night drive, all without any real intention on my part. I'd laugh at his jokes, let him think he had a shot, and then silence. But here's the thing, no one ever called me out for it, not once. No guy ever scolded me or told me I was being selfish or accused me of wasting his time. If anything, they just kept trying harder, like my indifference was some kind of challenge. So I assumed it was fine. Normal even. That's what girls were supposed to do, right? We choose. We take what's offered. We let them prove themselves. If they wanted to spend their money, their energy, their time just for the chance to be close to me, wasn't that their decision? It felt natural, like men chase, women choose. That was the rhythm of life. Back then, I didn't even consider the possibility of a world where men wouldn't chase. If anything, I joked about it with my girlfriends. Like, ugh, imagine if one day they all just stopped simping for us. What would we even do? And then we'd laugh, because the idea seemed ridiculous. Men were relentless. If one guy got rejected, another one would be right there the next day, shooting his shot. That was the law of the universe, or at least, it used to be, until one day, everything changed. It was second year, middle of fall semester, when the story broke. The guy's name was Jason. Tall, broad-shouldered, classic frat boy type, but not the sleazy kind. He was one of those golden boys on campus, always smiling, always helping out during orientation week, the kind of guy who could hold court at a party, but also sit in the library and help freshmen with their econ homework. Everybody knew him. Everybody liked him. I knew him too. Not well, but enough to say hi when we crossed paths. He was in one of my general ed classes freshman year, and he'd once walked me across campus after a late night study session. Just a normal, polite guy. So when I first heard the whispers, Jason's in trouble, Jason got accused, I didn't believe it, but the rumors spread like wildfire. He wouldn't leave her alone. He kept pushing after she said no. He was stalking her outside her dorm. It was everywhere. People were whispering about it in the dining hall, in the library. Even professors seemed to treat him differently. His name went from golden boy to mud in a matter of days. And it wasn't just him. That semester felt cursed. A couple of guys got reported for making girls uncomfortable in study groups. Another got written up for an off-color joke in a group chat that got screenshotted and emailed to student conduct. And here's the thing. I also knew the girl. Lauren, from my psychology lecture. Pretty, sharp, a little dramatic if I'm being honest. The kind of girl who always had a story to tell, usually about someone wronging her. So at first, I kept quiet, because back then, and honestly even now, the rule among women was pretty simple. Believe her first. The assumption was always that men were guilty until proven otherwise. And even though a part of me doubted Lauren's story, because it just didn't sound like Jason, I still didn't defend him. None of us did. But then, details started slipping out. People who were actually there, who'd seen what happened, started speaking up. The stalking outside her dorm? He was literally walking back from the gym and happened to be on the same sidewalk. The not leaving her alone? He'd asked her out twice, maybe 3 times, over the span of a couple weeks. She wasn't interested, she said no, and after that, he stopped. He didn't text her non-stop, he didn't corner her, he didn't touch her. When you pieced it all together, the worst you could say was that he misread her interest for a bit too long. That was it. But by then, it was too late. The accusation stuck harder than the truth ever could. Girls who had once giggled when he walked into a room now avoided eye contact. Guys who used to dap him up kept their distance, not wanting to be associated. He was dropped from his frat. He lost his internship placement. Professors stopped calling on him in class. Even after it came out, quietly through a student conduct hearing, that he hadn't actually violated any rules, the stain stayed. People just didn't care. In their minds, where there's smoke, there's fire. Jason never recovered. He dropped out a semester later, transferred somewhere out of state, and as far as I know, never came back. And me? I still remember how unsettled I felt, because deep down, I knew he hadn't done anything worth ruining his life over. But I also knew if I spoke up, if I said, hey, maybe this isn't fair, I'd get eaten alive by the other girls. So I stayed quiet, nodded along, and pretended like I believed it too. Looking back, that was the moment when things started to shift. Because if someone like Jason, the golden boy, the safe one, the guy you'd never expect trouble from, could get taken down by nothing more than a few whispers, what chance did any other guy have? And the guys noticed. Almost overnight, the vibe on campus shifted. The confidence, little gestures became rare. The bold ones who used to shoot their shot without hesitation suddenly kept to themselves, sticking with their groups like it was safer to pretend we weren't even there. I noticed it most at a house party a few weeks later. Music was blasting, girls were dressed up and dancing in the living room. The kind of scene that normally guaranteed a swarm of guys trying to grind or strike up conversation. But that night? Nothing. They hung back, most of them crowded in the kitchen instead, playing beer pong, laughing with each other, barely even glancing over at us. It was like someone had turned the volume down on male attention. And I felt weird about it. Not worried exactly. More like confused. Because I told myself, okay, fine. They're spooked right now. But it'll blow over. Men will always chase. That's just how it works. Fast forward a couple years. Graduation cap tossed, real job, real bills, real life. I told myself the campus freeze was just a phase. Guys were spooked by what happened to Jason, but out in the real world, things would go back to normal. Men would start chasing again, right? Except they didn't. I noticed it on nights out first. I'd go to bars with my girlfriends, all of us dressed up, ready for attention. Back in uni, guys would practically trip over themselves to buy us drinks. Now? They barely even looked. Groups of men clustered around pool tables, cracking jokes with each other, not even glancing up when we walked past. It was the same story at the gym. I used to get little interactions, a guy asking if I needed a spot, offering me a towel, small excuses to talk. Now? Nothing. They kept their headphones in, focused on their lifts, and bonded with each other instead. Dating apps weren't much better. Sure, I still got matches, and the usual creeps who opened with gross comments, but with the majority of guys, the energy was different. Conversations fizzled quickly. They weren't trying to impress me anymore. No clever openers, no persistence, just short, casual replies, like they couldn't care less if I ghosted or not. Then came Ben. He seemed different, chill, polite without being boring. He actually asked me questions instead of giving one-word answers, and I remember feeling a little rush, like finally, a normal guy. After a week of dry back and forths with other matches, Ben felt like a breath of fresh air. When he asked me out for lunch, I was almost relieved. Okay, maybe the chase isn't dead after all, I thought. Maybe guys were just burned out on apps, and in person, things would be better. I even started picturing how it might go. Him picking me up, maybe grabbing food, maybe a movie after if things clicked. For the first time in a while, I let myself feel excited. And then came the message. Hey, do you mind doing me a quick favor? He wrote. Can you send me a short video of yourself saying, my name, am consensually going out with Ben for lunch today. Just, to have it on record. At first, I laughed out loud. I thought it was a bit. I even sent him a laughing emoji and wrote back, "LOL, you're funny," but he doubled down. I'm serious. It's nothing personal, just covering myself. Guys can't be too careful these days. I sat there staring at my phone, stunned. My heart actually sank a little. Here I was, getting excited about what felt like a normal date, and suddenly it turned into paperwork. A guy needed a consent video just to go out with me? It was pathetic. I didn't even reply after that. Just rolled my eyes, closed the app, and blocked him. Because if that's where dating was headed, guys needing contracts before lunch, then honestly, forget it. Blocking Ben should have felt like a power move, but instead it just left me hollow. Because deep down, I couldn't shake his words. Guys can't be too careful these days, so I decided to bring it up with my girlfriends. Maybe they'd noticed it too. We went out for dinner one Friday night, squeezed into a booth with cocktails in hand, and almost immediately the topic came up. Jess was the first to snap. Of course we still get hit on, but it's always the wrong guys. The ones we'd never give a chance to Maya jumped in, rolling her eyes. Exactly. The hot ones, the decent ones, they're all off in their little boy clubs now. Like cars, gym, video games, each other. It's pathetic. Sophie just sighed and nodded along, the quiet agreement almost worse than the words. I tried to play it casual, but there was bitterness in all of us. It wasn't that attention had disappeared completely, it was that the attention we wanted had. The kind of guys who used to chase us without hesitation. Now they were nowhere to be found. And then, almost on cue, in walked Ethan. Ethan was an old classmate of mine, now a co-worker. Normal guy, chill, the type who never tried too hard, but also never seemed desperate. He was with two of his buddies, and when he spotted me, he came over to say hi. What started as small talk quickly turned into something else. Jess, half smirking, leaned forward and asked, "Okay, maybe you can explain this, Ethan. Why don't guys chase anymore? What happened to you all?" Ethan glanced at his friends, smirked back, and said, "You really want to know?" Jess leaned forward. "Yeah, because from where I'm sitting, it just looks like men got weak." And that's when the debate started. His buddy, stocky, gym type, shook his head. "Not weak. Tired. You call it weakness, we call it exhaustion. Guys used to shoot their shot non-stop. And what did we get? Ghosted. Mocked in group chats, screenshotted on Twitter. After a while, "It's not worth it," Maya fired back instantly. "That's dating. Not every guy gets the girl. Women deal with rejection too, you know. We just get over it." Ethan leaned in. "No, you don't. When was the last time you cold approached a guy and got laughed at in front of his friends? Or got posted in a group chat for cringe screenshots? You say it's the same, but it's not. Women's rejection is private. Men's rejection is entertainment." That made Sophie frown. But isn't that just about confidence? If a guy can't handle rejection, he's not ready for a relationship anyway. The quiet friend cut in, voice sharp. "See, that's the problem. You're acting like men's feelings don't exist. We're expected to tiptoe around your comfort zones, but if we bring up our pain, suddenly we're not man enough." That double standard is why guys stopped playing the game. The girls glanced at each other, clearly annoyed, but couldn't deny it. Jess quickly pivoted. "Okay, fine. But what about dating apps? If you guys don't chase in person anymore, at least you've got Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, whatever. Don't act like you don't have options." The stocky guy laughed. "Options? You think men get options on apps? You get 500 matches just for existing. Most guys are lucky if they get a handful in a month." Maya smirked. "Well, maybe if you stood out more, you'd do better." Ethan shot her a look. "Stood out how? Compete with hundreds of other guys for one girl who's half paying attention? That's not standing out. That's begging, and we're done begging." That landed like a jab. Jess's smirk faded. Sophie tried to salvage it. "But don't men still want companionship? Marriage? Families? You can't just quit women." Ethan didn't even flinch. "We're not quitting women. We're quitting chasing. There's a difference." The quiet friend leaned forward. "Look at Jason. He asked a girl out a few times. Politely. stopped when she said no. He lost everything anyway. Why would any guy risk it now? I froze. My throat tightened. Maya waved her hand dismissively. If you're not doing anything wrong, you don't need to worry about accusations. That's paranoia. The stocky guy shook his head. No, that's reality. One rumor can nuke a man's life. Doesn't matter if it's true. Doesn't matter if it gets cleared up later. Damage is permanent. That's why guys ask for proof now. That's why they want everything recorded, because innocence isn't protection. I swallowed hard. Ben flashed in my mind. Jess jumped back in, irritated. Fine. But dating has always been give and take. Men pay for dinners, show effort, impress the girl. That's just how it works. Ethan smirked. Exactly. Men give, women take. And you think that's fair? Guys drain their wallets, time and energy just for a chance. Not even a guarantee. And half the time, the girl never cared anyway. Why would we keep funding that system? Sophie frowned. But if you don't provide, what are you bringing to the table? That's your role. That's how men show value. His quiet friend snapped back. Wrong. That's how men used to show value. Now we invest in ourselves. Gym, cars, businesses, friendships. We spend our money and time on things that don't humiliate us or waste us. Things that give back. The air around the table felt heavier with every word. Maya scoffed, frustrated. So what? You just want to sit around with your boys forever? That's not real life. Ethan stared straight at her. Real life is freedom. No drama, no risk, no constant auditioning for women who don't even like us. You call it weakness. We call it finally choosing ourselves. The girls fell quiet. I could feel the bitterness in all of us, but none of us had an answer. Finally, Jess broke the silence, her voice sharp but shaky. Okay, fine. So what are women supposed to do then? Ethan didn't answer right away. He leaned back, arms crossed, his friends exchanging a glance like they'd had this exact conversation before. Finally, he said, Simple. You adapt, just like men had to. Jess bristled. Adapt how? The stocky guy shrugged. Stop expecting men to fund your lifestyle. Stop treating attention like oxygen. Stop acting like you can play games forever, and there'll always be another guy waiting. Maya rolled her eyes. So now it's our fault? You all gave up, and somehow, that's on us? The quiet one leaned forward. It's not about fault. It's about reality. Men looked at the deal on the table and decided it wasn't worth it anymore. You don't like it? Change the deal. Sophie frowned. And what exactly does that mean? Ethan locked eyes with her. It means men aren't chasing. If you want something now, you're going to have to do the chasing. You're going to have to prove yourself. That landed like a bomb. Jess scoffed. Women don't chase men. That's not how it works. The stocky guy smirked. It is now. Welcome to 2025. Maya's voice rose. So you expect us to just lower ourselves? Text first? Buy dinners? Risk rejection? The quiet friend shot back. Yes, exactly that. You think men haven't been doing it for decades? Now it's your turn. The air around the table was sharp. Jess shook her head, muttering, unbelievable. But Ethan wasn't done. Look, you can be mad at us, or you can accept it. Men aren't refusing women. We're refusing the circus. If you want real connection, you're going to have to stop treating it like a one-way audition. Otherwise, guys will keep walking. And most already have. I felt my chest tighten. Jess tried one last jab. So what, you're all just going to stay single forever? Pretend you don't want women? The stocky guy laughed. We don't have to pretend. We'll find good women, just not ones like you. And if we don't care anymore. We've got our money, our projects, our freedom. Cars, lifting, businesses, traveling, building things. We enjoy it. We don't need validation for it. And honestly, most women would never understand. The quiet one added calm. You think you've got the emotional high ground, but we talk to each other more honestly than you ever do. We know how to deal with our shit. Our friendships last. Yours are just drinking buddies until someone gets jealous. That one stung. Nobody at the table had a comeback. Finally, Ethan smirked. We're fine. Happier than ever. Relationships used to be a bonus. Now they're a liability. So until that changes, yeah, we'd rather stay single than chase. They stood up. One of them clapped me on the shoulder on the way out, casual, and the three of them walked off laughing. And for the first time, I realized the joke I used to laugh about with my girlfriends had come true. Men really had stopped chasing. Still, I leaned back, smirked, and said, "Please. We're not changing for men. Why would we? You'll come crawling back eventually. You always do. Women age like wine. I'll still get chased. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but sooner or later, you'll be the ones begging again,